Yeah. So I'm from the type of place, man, where dreams die early. From south side of Richmond, Virginia, pretty impoverished area. Some of the worst schools in the district. But I wasn't built to fold. I was built different. God had different plans for me. I'm Eric Hunter, and this is how I turn my pain into passion. Yeah, so I come from Richmond, Virginia, and I come from an environment of like lack and poverty mindset struggle where we really didn't have much. It was just really about maintaining, making sure, that we eat at night. I had a loving family, a loving mom, but finances weren't in abundance. There was a lot of love though, and we had each other, so that was enough. And I think that's what built my love for family and my love for people. Coming up, because that's really all we had. So a lot of just struggling and thinking that being rich was not for me. Thinking that it was something for lucky people or specific people to become successful. That's the type of environment I grew up in. Drugs, illegal things, different things like that. People thinking that you had to do illegal things to get successful and to win. That's the type of mindset that I grew up in. Yeah, well, I just feel like seeing all the people around me, my mom, all my family members and stuff like that, for the most part, that was in my immediate circle that I spent the most time with, they just couldn't get ahead. They worked jobs and they, could afford their rent and the bare necessities, but anytime it was time to go buy something of luxury or an accessory, it was just like, hey, this is a limit. We don't have much. You can only get something for this amount of money. And that's the type of mindset that I grew up in, just not thinking that, a scarcity mindset, not thinking that there was enough to go around and that, obviously that it was enough for little old me. I believe that I had multiple moments where I realized something needed to change, but for the most part, I think that me understanding nobody was coming to save us and that I was the only one even thinking like this. Once I realized that I had the mindset to think these thoughts, that I was special, because not everybody was blessed enough to have those thoughts, not let alone acting on them. So once I realized that I was the person that was thinking these thoughts, I was the person that God gave this vision to, that it was part of my purpose to do it, that's when I realized I was different and I just leaned into it. Yeah, I think I was 25 years old when I realized change needed to happen and that I was going to be the one that had to do it. I was about 25 years old at that time. I'm pretty much self-taught, just paying for mentorship, later, but for the most part, initially growing up, just watching different people, on YouTube and different things like that, studying self-development, reading books. That has helped shape my financial philosophy and my understanding, and then just investing back into myself, paying for mentorship, and just doing business with people that can help me get to the next level. Yeah, I think for my mom, it was more so that she was excited about it because I had been a problem child. I mean, I was a good child, but I was getting into the wrong stuff and it was worrying my mom. I'm sure she was worried about my well-being, and, every day was a struggle just, for her, I'm sure, just hoping that I, made it out alive. And, once I started changing for the better, I could see, her being happy and excited about my, just the fact that I was going to be safe now. And for my dad, I think it was a little bit different. He was more so worried about me, wondering if I was okay because I was no longer thinking negative, but I was dwelling on the positives, looking forward to the future, just hoping that things would get better and just believing in it, knowing that things would get better for me. And I remember my dad asking me, like, am I okay? Because it seemed like I was running from life because I was no longer dwelling on my problems. I was just thinking about when it would get better. So that's the take that my parents had. And all in all, they were supportive, both of them, for sure. I can't really say it was my parents for the most part at all. It was just really the love and the upbringing they gave me. My parents played a role, but for me, it was more so outside influences like the drug dealers. They made me want to make money. And then it was the people that, the first jobs that I worked, the people that took to me, just some of the older people that seen the light in me and really embraced me and took their time with just treating me, with respect, even as a child. I think that really helped me out. And then just, the internet, seeing people on the internet really inspired me to really, become aware that it was possible for me. So it was definitely people on the internet. Once I started looking at different YouTube, social medias, and different outlets, seeing how people were living, traveling, and stuff like that, it helped me to realize that, hey, the world is doing some different things. Other things are possible versus what you see here in your immediate, environment and sphere of influence. So I think for me, I always been a leader. Like, always been a leader. Always been amongst leadership in my peer group, and I just always cared about other people. I think that's a part of like my personality, my zodiac sign, and all that good stuff. But for me, trying to change my life and realizing that as I asked people for help and I sought out help from different mentorship and different people that I thought were successful, they didn't want to help me. They didn't want to help me, and they just kept living their lives. I wasn't important to them, because they didn't know me. So I'm really not mad at them, but it was painful, going through that, trying to change my life, not wanting to be in the streets, not wanting to get shot, killed, or locked up or anything like that, wanting to be a role model for my children. And I was trying, but nobody really wanted to take the time to help me, because I didn't have the resources. And I just remember that, and I really want to be more of a beacon of hope for people that want to change their lives and see better days. So for me, it's about really just giving that opportunity to my old self. So for me, it's like, hey, if I could go back and talk to my old self, or be a mentor to my old self in the absence of me not having that when I first started. So I want to do that for other people. That's where the passion for that comes from.